Hello and welcome to the LAPD Pacific Division headquarters. We're in the roll call room. Join Chief Charlie Beck for a conversation regarding the Chief's message for the month of July 2016. Sir, hi, how are you?
Jack, I'm really good, thank you.
Very good. You know what, boss? We were just talking off camera where you had spent some time down here. You know, typically when an officer gets assigned first time to Pacific, the first thing they say is, hot dog, I get to work on the beach.
Yeah, well, I never did work on the beach. I think I would respond to calls on the beach, but I had 845 and it was kind of in the Palms and Lower Palms area. But I spent a lot of time in Oakwood. Oakwood wasn't gentrified at the time.
There's a lot more to the division than just, obviously, than the beach division. You were talking
Yes.
about the neighborhoods themselves, but the commercial areas.
Yeah, it was the neighborhoods, the commercial areas, then of course the airport, and then it's such a big division. You know, I think it was 26 square miles,
Yes, sir.
something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the last night I worked here, I was getting ready I just transferred to Hollywood, and the last night I worked here was like midnight, just getting ready to go in to watch, and a help call came out on Imperial Highway out by the airport, and we were the only car, and it took us 20 minutes to get there at a help call, and we were the first car there. It was not good. That was 19, would have been 82, I think.
You had two assignments here?
Well, I was a training officer, and then I was a senior lead officer for a while. Yeah.
How was the slow spot?
Well, SLOs were very different back then. You know, SLOs were a part of the patrol force. They didn't. We got a few hours to do our community part, and then we had to work the rest of it in during our regular shift. We had probationers assigned to us, and you know, we still led the car, but a little different role than today, where we use them to exclusively, in a lot of cases, work with the community.
And sir, we have two fine officers here today from Pacific, and I'll let you introduce yourself, give us an idea of who you are.
Sure, I'm Adam Niebergall. I have 15 years on, 15 this year. I've been at Pacific for almost 8 years.
How about you, boss?
I'm Daniel Hardman. I'm a P3 here at Pacific. I have 8 years on the job, and I've been at Pacific for a little over 2 years.
I believe you gentlemen have comments, questions. We'll start with you, sir.
Okay. Regarding, sir, how are you? Thank you for being here.
Daniel. Thank you for coming here.
Regarding patrol, sir, how often do you go out on patrol and get an opportunity to interact not only with the citizens but also with your officers, the officers out on the street, so that you can identify with the real issues that they're facing, both the citizens and the officers?
So, one of the things I wanted to do when I became chief, there's a couple of things I wanted to do, but one of them was to work every division of the LAPD. And I've been chief 7 years now. And during that time, I have worked with a P3 in every division of the Los Angeles Police Department, for maybe not for a whole shift, but for at least a partial shift. And then, so when I went through all 21 divisions doing that, then I started. Now I'm on my captain ride-along phase. So right now, I'm like, after we get done with this, I'll ride around with your captain a little bit, talk to her about philosophy and about how to the things I learned when I ran divisions. So it's very important to me to hear what you all have to say. That's one of the reasons we're sitting here, because I could just say that, well, yeah, I've worked 6 patrol divisions, I've been every rank, 40 years on the job, all that stuff. But that that doesn't get to the root of your question is how current am I? Well, and then I also, as everybody knows, I have almost all my close friends, my motorcycle riding partners. They're all young cops, and then I have my real critics, which is my 2 P3 children that explain to me how the department works almost daily. So I have a lot of ways to keep in touch, but the real way I like to do it is talking to cops, and I find the best way to understand what officers are thinking is to get in the car with them and drive around a little bit. Maybe handle a call, maybe just drive around and have them tell me about their division. And even though I've worked this division, I know all the streets of this division, I want to see them through your eyes, because my eyes are old and they're jaded by whatever happened when I was here, but I want to hear about what you think about them. So that's the reason I've ridden in every division. And you know, I've also, you know, made sure that I went out in a car that had digital in-car video, and that I've tried to accommodate the body cameras. So I'm trying to figure out what I can do to make your jobs better and more effective. Because that's if I can't do that, then I'm not a good chief.
How about you, brother?
Hey, sir. One of the questions that came up was the jail process.
Yes,
It could be a little lengthy, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, it takes too long to book. Yes, it does.
Well, I think if we can get in and out quicker, we could increase overall productivity and boost morale.
Yeah, well, and I agree with you 100%. As a matter of fact, this is a complaint as old as the Los Angeles Police Department. I mean, none of us have ever thought we were effective at getting the booking process done. And I know that we've looked at other places, and a lot of smaller departments have a much quicker system. So, you know, one of the things that, one of the problems with fixing it right now is that we've had so many staffing issues in the jail because of the recession. And we really haven't recovered from the recession yet as far as jail operations go. We're still about 70 jailers short of what we should be. And that really impedes the process. But I've got some new leadership in jail division. We're starting to hire detention officers now, which is fantastic. And so that'll do a couple of things. First, that'll put professional, fresh eyes on it, and also more folks that can be committed to this, to the staffing requirements of jail. And I'm going to task them with finding other ways of speeding up the process. You know, of course, you know, I mean, there are things we have to do, you know, that cause us to the process to take too long. The MT, you know, the fact that jail doesn't have enough personnel to transport if they got to go to the hospital. But we're going to see if we can unscramble those eggs a little bit, because, you know, I complained about it when I sat in your chairs, and now I'm hearing from you, and so that's unsat that we haven't fixed it. So this is one of the things that I'm looking to do this year with the new leadership and the new hiring in jail division. So thanks for the question, because you know what, and so this is the important thing here, is that, you know, when you're the chief, you know, you think that you give some orders and the problem gets fixed, but it's important to hear back, you know, what's working and what's not. So I appreciate that question.
Any response to that, sir, with expanding the facilities? I believe there are some facilities that we don't use at this moment.
Well, so that's going to take a significant hiring of detention officers. You know, we have about a half a dozen jails that are closed right now, and to open those is going to take hiring like 70 DOs, and that's in the plan, but it isn't going to happen this next year. So what we got to do is we got to become more efficient at what we're doing in the facilities we have open now, and then aim for hiring enough to open those jails so that we can take the travel time out of booking at least, you know. So and I get that. You know, I've certainly driven my share of arrestees around, and I know that you would rather be doing something else.
Got a comment, brother?
No, sir.
Anything? Third question? What's our third question?
Sir, regarding deployment levels,
Sure.
you know, coppers for the longest time throughout our department's history has always said more cops on the streets better, obviously. There's a direct correlation between more cops on the street and crime being down. Is there any plan or any way that we can maybe modify recruitment to get more cops on the street to increase productivity and, you know, protect officer safety?
Well, we just started a new class a week ago Monday, and I believe it had almost 50 recruits in it. So that was a good start, because we've been struggling to get classes over 30, you know, for about the last 2 years. So I've added some detectives into backgrounds to help personnel department, because that's who does that normally, get through their workload and try to get more recruits into the classes, because you're absolutely right. I mean, you know, the P1s are that's the lifeblood of this department. If we don't regenerate, if we don't keep putting young cops into those black and white cars, you know, the department naturally ages out of the black and whites, you know, as and so that's a really bad thing. I've lived through hiring freezes and seen what happens when the whole force, stops growing at the bottom. The force has got to grow at the bottom, otherwise none of this works, because that's one of the ways that we balance the divisions, when they hit the wheel, the wheel's there for a reason, it's there so that if you have too many people that promote out of Pacific or too many people that retire out of Pacific, you have an automatic way to backfill that. But if you don't have recruits, you can't do that. So anyway, so all that to say that I think the hiring process is going to improve. We're about, by the end of this month, we will probably be 200 cops short of our deployment level. And so we're going to have to, that's going to take a continuous hiring push to make up for it. And my goal is that by the end of this fiscal year that we'll have caught up, and so that takes a big recruitment effort. So that's my part of it. So your part of it is if you, the best recruiters we have are you. You are our best recruiters. You know who makes good cops. You know the kind of people that can do this job. And, so I ask everybody to, take your future into your own hands. If you know a good young person that is interested in law enforcement, steer them this way. This department is what we make it, and there's nothing better than picking your own partner.
It's really tough, as you well know, in law enforcement in general, nationwide, maybe even internationally. How does a young person get enthused about going into law enforcement these days with some of the negative press that we see, some of the connotations of it's a tough business and maybe I can go into something else?
It is a tough business, and it's always been a tough business. And if somebody's not ready to come to a job that is difficult, then this one probably isn't for them. So, I think it is important that people realize that, hey, this job is tough physically, it's tough emotionally, it's tough on your family life. I mean, you have to want to have to want to be a cop, especially an LA cop. I mean, there are a lot of places where it is much easier to wear a badge and a gun and take home a paycheck. Much easier. We have, we not only have a high workload, but we have a high standard, high expectations of our officers, and that's exemplified by these two P3s here. They're very sharp, and believe me, they would be leaders in any law enforcement agency in the nation. And LAPD is fortunate to have them, and the thousands that are like them. So I want people that know how tough this job is. But I think so. A couple of things to answer your question though. So we have done a tremendous job of expanding our cadet program. With our young people that participate in the cadet program. We have almost 8,000 of them now. 8,000, which, when I became chief, we had barely 500. So, and that is a ready-made recruiting platform for us. And then we also have to keep building public trust, because, I think that people that want to become police officers want to know that they're going to an organization that will treat the public fairly and then treat them fairly. If we do those two things, if on your radio calls you treat people fairly, then that young person that's sitting there and watching the whole thing as you interact with their parents or their uncle or whatever, you change the way that they think about cops. And just maybe, even though they're in a tough situation today, maybe in a couple of years, they'll want to do what you're doing.
Thanks, boss.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, my partners here at Pacific are right. It is a tough job. And because it's a tough job, I need you to take care of each other. Watch each other's backs, do the right thing, go out there and be effective.